Hi, welcome to TVI Tips from Amanda. In this particular video, we're going to be looking at Phase 3 print accommodations when we're looking at Phase 3 CVI. And so on the screen, you see Christine Roman's website, roman-word-bubbling.appspot.com. And it is a website that she created for TVIs and parents and other professionals to use when they're teaching students in Phase 3 how to access print. And it's a really basic website with a lot of neat features that go about it, but it's important to note that there is not a one-size-fits-all solution when we're talking about print for Phase 3 CVI. So the default is up here on the screen. We have the font size 70. We have a gap width of 9%, and that's the gap between the word and the bubbles. The outline width is default at 9%, and that's the width of the actual bubble. We'll play around with those in a couple seconds to look at how those can change with what you're writing. I have had success in the past, way before this website was created, using the Edmark approach, and we just redid absolutely every lesson in print for my student for Edmark. But anyway, we used Edmark. It's a sight word reading program. Research from Dr. Roman and some other professionals in the field has started to show that a sight word approach to literacy is really valuable for our students who are in Phase 3 CVI, because if we think about how good print readers who don't have visual impairments, just any good reader is going to read the majority of the words that we read by sight. We don't look at the individual letters of words. We are able to just recognize, our brain just recognizes that word and we're able to read it. And so if we want students with CVI or people with CVI to be able to recognize these words, then we need to teach the shape of the word, the sight word, and not a phonetic sounding out approach to literacy. So I'm going to use an Edmark word. For example, one of the first words you learn in Edmark is horse. So you have horse up on the screen. Other options that I didn't mention before are the remove text option, the invert text option. You can change the bubble color. I have a student who's red, I have another student who's green, and I have one who's blue. So we can keep it on red, or I might change it to a blue because I kind of like the blue a little bit better personally. And then you can change font size, font names, Comic Sans, Helvetica, whatever this is, Trebuchet, and Verdana. So I like Comic Sans. If there's another font like the APH font that you want to use, you can customize it and upload that font to the website. If you're choosing to do that, you would need to upload that each time you're doing it because the website won't save it. So I'm just going to stick with Comic Sans. It's the easiest for me, and it's the one that I use the most because every computer has it, and if I need to make something for my student, I can make it from literally anywhere, and I don't have to upload a font. So when we talk about the gap width of your bubble, or for your bubble, we're talking about the distance between the word, the print words, and the bubble. The default is 9. I just want to show you what happens if you go to 0. It's highlighting the whole word. It's hard to differentiate between, or maybe just for someone with CVI to see each individual letter. And so Dr. Roman, I believe, has said that there should be a little bit of space between them. However, I have seen in some CVI groups where parents and professionals have done no space and students have had success. So it might work. Who knows? I want to increase it to 50 so you can see how big that difference can be. I wouldn't recommend 50 because now the bubble doesn't look like the shape of the word, so teaching the shape is not going to be as effective. I prefer 10, 9, not much difference. So the outline width is going to be how thick the bubble is. So I just want to show you 0 is a super tiny line that might be difficult to read that just goes around the shape of the word. And then I'll show you 50, super thick. Again, not useful. So probably your average is going to stay around that, those smaller numbers. Maybe, I can't even see a 20 really being useful. 15 maybe most. I'll stick it with 10. So we have the word horse. And you're like, oh, great, we have this word horse. We can present the word horse, but how's that really going to work? I mean, you can't do anything. I mean, you can save the image, but then what are you going to do? You can copy the image. So we can copy it, and we can put it inside of a PowerPoint presentation. There's the word horse. It's beautiful. You love it. There's another option I just want to share, because sometimes you're going to find things online that are great or somewhere on your computer, and I just want to share really fast. There's a program called Snip and Sketch, and you can anyone who has Windows 10 or higher has Snip and Sketch. Older versions of Windows have Snippet, but you can go in there, and if you didn't want to copy the words so close, you could get a little bit closer in there if you wanted, and then you can go back into Snip and Sketch and copy it by hitting these two paper buttons. But anyway, so you can right click to copy your image and put it into like a PowerPoint presentation. And the reason I bring that up is because you can do matching for students, and you can also put the word so it moves around your screen, or so on different slides you might have horse at the top. Now on a new slide you might say, okay, whoops, I just opened a completely new presentation there. Don't save that, please. You could do some new slides over here. We'll just copy and paste it a bunch of times. And you can just take your horses and move them all around, and the student's whole job could just be touch horse, find horse, touch horse. But once the student knows the shape of horse, you can also do something else, which I think is really cool. And you can, let me find it. I'm going to insert a text box. I'm going to insert it here, and I'm going to go to Comic Sans because that's the font that I was using, and I'm going to go to size 70 font, and I'm going to write in the word horse. It's bigger, by the way, so we'll have to adapt that. But anyway, here's my horse. Now I'm going to go back to Dr. Roman. I'm going to remove the text. I'm going to copy that image, go back. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. We're going to have to play around with this a little bit because it might not. We're going to bring horse to the front. So if you click on this outside square, you see the like the compass rose, the arrows going up and down, left and right. If you right click and bring to front, the word horse will be in front of the bubble when you move it around. So you can make it fit in there better by making, we're going to have to highlight, and we're going to make it say 75. We can go maybe 80. Let's see. 80 fits in there pretty well, huh? So it doesn't fit perfectly. So now what you can do is go to your bubble and make your bubble, oops, we're still in the text. We can make our bubble a little bit smaller and move it behind the word horse so we can see if it fits. I made it too small. So again, it's a play around type thing. The whole reason I'm showing you all of this though is because it gets cool. You can bring this up on a smartboard or other digital, whatever they're calling the new smartboard things, and you can have, say the student has like 3 or 4 words, you can have, maybe start small, 2 bubbles on the left and 2 words on the right, and they literally just like this. You have your bubbles here on the left, your words on the right, and they could with their fingers, not having to use fine motor skills, not having to use a mouse, not having to use a pencil, they can just use their pointer finger and drag horse, boom, right there inside. And if you're struggling because or if your student is struggling because Smartboard and PowerPoint, and you don't want to use PowerPoint, you can use any of the other programs that you have, like you have the Smart Notebook if you have a Smartboard. But also, the reason we talked about Snip and Sketch earlier is you can do a new sketch of this horse. Ew, that's blurry, yucky. But you could take that, copy it, and you can also drag it in that way too. So there you have a bunch of different options. You can use the Smart Notebook. You can also use a PowerPoint to do the matching, to do the touching, and that kind of stuff. So the website's great. I have known other people who have printed off on like a white cardstock, color printed their words, and then done a matte lamination so that they have the laminated words and they cut them out, and then they the bubbled words, and then they have just the print word, and you can Velcro the print word into the bubble match. That's an option. Also, just having a warm up for the students so they can just go quickly through the words that they know in this format, and then teach the whole find the word horse, touch the word horse, say horse that you do in Edmark. So I just really wanted to show the Bubble website. There's another approach that you can use to bubble letters that I will share later on in this presentation and in my Facebook page that someone else did in Word, where instead of bubbling the whole word, you're bubbling individual letters. Personally, I don't like that approach as much because you're focusing on a letter by letter approach that way too, or you're focusing on letter by letter that way, and we're trying to teach the whole word at one time. So there might be some cases where that's really good, and there might be some that's not. And of course, if the technology is difficult for you all, or if you don't have the time to do that level of adaptation, you can always just do the print assessment as part of your learning media, part of the functional vision learning media assessment, and type up the words in whatever the preferred font is in, say, Microsoft Word, print it out, and then use markers to do your bubbling, and it might take you a lot less time because it might work better for you. So I just wanted to give you some options. I hope they help you out, and I hope that this is something that you can use, and I hope you reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.